August 19th of 2024. Am I speaking fast? Of course I am. Of course I am. This is a fast-moving week. Last week was a fast-moving week. Maybe a little too fast for some folks. Maybe a little too fast for me at points. It was definitely we felt that Mars energy strongly in the last week. And Mars is not not necessarily the planet of this coming week. He's still in the neighborhood, but I think we'll feel a little bit less of that kind of prickliness that was part of Mars in Gemini meeting with Jupiter and square to Saturn. Why am I talking about last week? You want to know, why am I talking about last week? It's last week. We saw that forecast, Dama, did you? We saw that forecast. And the thing is that we need to know that, past results are not a guarantee of future progress. Or in this particular case, we want to say that past results are not going to screw us up like they may have done last week. Definitely saw people getting kind of prickly about stuff last week. Remember, Mercury's retrograde. Now, Mars and Jupiter are both in Gemini, which is Mercury's sign. Venus is in Gemini, Virgo. See what I did there? Virgo, which is Mercury's sign. And so it can be hard to get traction. Saturn's in Pisces, spinning the wheels a little bit. So there's definitely a little bit of the sense that kind of want to go and not quite getting there. And, then comes frustration and, maybe things are not as harmonious as we'd like and so on. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Nothing's a big deal. That's the part. You watch these forecasts every week, once in a while. And what you pick up is we get all excited and flustered, and then everything kind of goes back to normal, and then then maybe boring, and then everything gets exciting, and the things just keep coming and going. They just keep getting up there and down there, and everything just keeps flowing one thing into the other. And really and truly, you're just kind of watching the thing happen. Just kind of watching the thing happen. And that's what you should know. You should know that this is all just experiences and events flowing by. That's what you need to know. You need to know it this week. That's for damn sure, because we have quite the energy. We got the full moon in Aquarius, which is exact, let's call it Sunday, Monday. Depends where you are. Sunday, Monday. It's exact on Monday, to be technical about things. But the run up to it is so intense, and the fallout after it is so intense that we can speak of Sunday the 18th through about the 21st, Wednesday the 21st, as all just jangling with this full moon energy. Now, the first thing is full moon in Aquarius, right? At the very end of Aquarius, too. A tremendous time for going out and having some fun. It's great for communicating with friends. It's good for group activities. If you're it's Sunday, so let's say brunch or something like that. If you want to go do something, if there was some sort of social political event or something like that you were going to, if there was a charity event or something, great time for that sort of stuff. The sun is in Leo. We've got lots of, powerful energy in the direction of doing what you're really passionate about. And then we've got the moon in Aquarius, which is saying, well, what can we do with this energy for the collective? So great energy. If you could put it towards a purpose, that's wonderful. If you're just out with people of like mind and just sharing the experience, that's also really, really wonderful. That's the basics of it. Now we have this. Mercury and the sun are both square to Uranus at this full moon. Now, Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius. It's one of them anyway. Uranus rules Aquarius, and is the planet very much associated with the sign. And so it is the planet of eccentricity. It is the planet of individuality, uniqueness, right? So what do we get out of this? Everybody wants to do their own thing. Everybody's got their own agenda. So we got this cooperative, let's go do something full moon. And probably, you really want to do something. It's a full moon after all. The general full moon excitement is there. Square to Uranus. Can we get on the same page? Can we get everybody together to do the same thing? There's your question for you. Some folks are going to, not you, but some folks are going to take this as an opportunity to get mighty ornery. Okay, because there's that frustration building thing. We had a bit of it last week. We're going to have more of it this week. Be hard to get traction with things, but everybody wants to go do their own thing. Everybody wants to, everybody's got their own little vision for what we could do with the energy, right? And if you're on the same page, that's great. And if you're not on the same page, then, it's harder to be great about things. So, what was I saying? Yes. So Mercury square to Uranus, very likely going to Mercury again at the end of Leo. Very likely. This is what I gotta say. This is my truth. I'm speaking my truth, and it's gonna just get blurted out. The Sun and Moon square Uranus. It's more about the action. I'm gonna do my thing. I'll tell you about it beforehand. I'm gonna do it. Very volatile. Now, for most of us, no big deal. For most of us, no big deal. Passing phenomena. It will keep in mind, though, that this is a kind of explosive, for some folks, this is a sort of explosive energy of like, I gotta go do my thing, and it's a little bit of the hell with you if you're in my way. And I'll tell you about it. Now, where this really gets to be a bit of an issue is that Venus, now debilitated in Virgo, what are you going to do? Venus, now in Virgo, is going to be opposite Saturn in Pisces. And now Venus-Saturn oppositions will affect relationship matters in the sense of, okay, what are we going to do here? Let's where are we? Is this, is this an issue? What are we going to do? Stay or go type of thing for some folks, or we're going to be this way about things, or we're going to be this way about things. A bit of tension there. 90% of folks, it doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter. More, in a relationship, out of a relationship, doesn't really matter for most of us. At a tipping point in a relationship, matters. So if you're kind of on the, what should we do? Or is this going to work, or is this not going to work? Or if there's a bit of a struggle for how you're structuring your relationship, it's happening, the struggle is happening at the same time as the full moon. So what do you do? What do you do when the going gets tough and Uranus has his fingerprints on things? You say, I'm out of here. Some people would do that kind of thing. That's a bit of that's the risk. So if you're in a relationship that's at a vulnerable tipping point, probably none of you are, be aware that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, probably not the ideal time to push an issue, because you're just pushing it into a bit of a celestial tornado. Not the best time. Saturn and Venus will wait. Saturn's patient, he'll wait. Venus is in Virgo. She'll, it's okay. Venus is also, though, much as she's opposed to Saturn, she's also square to Jupiter. And now these two planets get along really, really well. A square is even more tense aspect than the opposition between Venus and Jupiter It's not going to be like that. And that will help. And this is something that will help us all. This will help if you're in a relationship, if you're dating, this will help if you're just out socializing. That's just a nice energy. The choices between what are you going to do? There's too many good options or something like that. Probably like the most difficult thing. You got a couple of choices. Well, this Venus Jupiter energy, this positive energy, really is there for all of us, and we can all kind of take advantage of that in any way. Well, I mean, great for creative projects as well. This is really good for creative projects. So, for most of us, full moon energy feels good. Uranus, kind of want to do your own thing, break out of routines. Can't spell routine without R-U-T. Break out of routines, mix things up a little bit. Do what you want to do. Do what you want. You got to Sunday. Do what you want to do. Right. Watch out for people that are going to be a little bit extra, but they're around all the time anyway. And then the Venus Jupiter thing is helping in terms of socializing, in terms of anything that you really want to do. I mean, creative projects for sure. Good time. Some folks will have a little bit of difficulty. Now, the other thing that is happening at this full moon, and this is on the collective level. And while, you and me and everybody watching this, we're all okay. Not all of us, I'm sure, but we're all pretty okay. At the collective level, the volatility of this full moon square to Uranus is likely to be really kind of a thing. This is a volatile aspect at the collective level. And Jupiter is square to Saturn at the full moon. And Jupiter, the planet that is, optimism, and on a social level, it's very progressive. It's like, let's move forward with things. And Saturn is more conservative. It's more like, let's keep our institutions safe type of thing. This is, these are sort of different energies. Now they met back in 2020. They have a 20-year cycle. They have a 20-year cycle, and they meet every 20 years. And if you look back, these two planets set the tone for social, political stuff. And you look back and you think, let's say the 1990s. What did that 90s feel like? And then from 2000 onwards, what did that feel like? And then you can go back to the meeting before that, around 1980. What were the 1970s like? And then what were the 1980s like? What were the 1950s like? And then the 1960s, right? So, you can just keep going back, 1940, 1960, 1980, 2000, 2020. And, you can see this, the way they set the social tone really is kind of a big discussion to be thrown into a 15-minute weekly forecast. Should have its own video. I don't think it's going to happen though. So, but if you subscribe and it comes out, then you'll know. Okay, so what you'll see is that the first decade, right, the 60s, the 80s, the 2000s have one feel, and then it kind of morphs into something a little bit different for the second half of the cycle, for the second decade. And it varies. You can have, sometimes you have a more conservative kind of vibe that switches into a little bit more looser vibe, or it goes the other way around. Look at the decades. Well, think about 2020. Now, Saturn and Jupiter met at 0 degrees of Aquarius. 0 degrees of Aquarius in December. It was December 21st of 2020. Well, pandemic and so on. And think about the shifts that were happening around that time. Think about, and not coincidentally, Pluto now is at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So all of the, and we are at the Aquarius full moon when, at this square. We're getting a lot of this Aquarian vibe. It has a lot to do with the power of the collective, the uh, power to the people kind of thing. And you've seen over the course of over the last 4 years, you've seen, for example, things like labor unions in the United States. You don't hear about them for decades. All of a sudden, making a big comeback, and in all different areas, they're making a big impression. Of course, we have the DEI stuff that is very Aquarian in its nature. We have a lot of progressive social movements that are really stepping up, and I'm an astrologer. I have my opinion about things, but I'm not giving you my opinion about things. I'm saying we're seeing things that we did not see before. And at this square, Monday the 19th, and a week or so on either side of it, we're going to be feeling what is our next step. Well, if we look back to 2020, December of 2020, just before the pandemic, or no, just in the midst of the pandemic, we're saying what was seeded then, now we're at a turning point. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Now the tone is still going to be Aquarian. It's still going to be about power to the people. It's still about the power of the masses. That's not going away. 20, it's not going away. It was Pluto in the sign and so on. But we're going to be at a hinge point. In what direction are we going to take it? And this week will give you clues about the direction that we as a collective are deciding to take this. The problem with the collective, lots of folks have recognized over the years, is that while an individual can sort of make decisions and be reasoned with and have a degree of awareness, the collective doesn't really. The collective kinds to operate in more of a tidal manner, right? Flow this way, flow that way type of thing, without a lot of rationality underneath it. Even if it is a rational argument, it's not the rationality that matters that much. So we got to hope for the best. Keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes out. Look at the social political situation at the beginning of the week, or really all week long. Very long-winded explanation. You're not interested in, because it's not about you, but it is important because it's about us, and us is the pool that you are swimming in. So it matters. It matters. I mean, certainly in the US, the election is likely to hit a real pivotal point this week. Right? This is probably the big pivotal point for the US election. The Aquarian vibe seems to have been quite instrumental in changing things around in the recent elections in the UK. And, well, we'll just leave it at that. We can only make this video so long. Now, what else happens this week? On Thursday, the 22nd. Happens every year, and it never gets easier. Okay, the sun leaves Leo and goes into Virgo. I mean, you can. Yeah, we've been watching back to school commercials since sun was in Cancer, but now it is. You can't even really argue with it. It's like it is that time of year. Summer is ending. The days are getting shorter. Crisp, cool days. Oh, it's so hot in the summertime. We get crisp, cool days. Yeah. Anyways, um, that happens. Sun goes into Virgo. Um, we are a ways away from the new moon in Virgo, but of course, as soon as the sun goes into Virgo, we start thinking about what needs to get done by the end of the year, right? We start, thinking about stuff that needs to get done that doesn't involve the beach, you know. So I guess you could start thinking about, making a little to-do list. Yeah. So that is the big transition that is happening this week. Venus is already out in Virgo. Mercury was in, but now he's back in Leo. Wisely, he's at home in Virgo, but he still goes and catches a little sunshine in Leo, right, for a while he's retrograding. But yeah, the season shifts now from Leo to Virgo, and in a noticeable way. For those of you who are in Australia or South Africa or something like that, of course, for you guys, it's the coming of like the end of winter, which is not that good, really. You sit around waiting for the springtime. It's all right. Anyways, don't go by me. Don't go by me. And hope you have a good week. Be really exciting to see what happens to us individually and collectively. And keep in mind that whatever happens, you're just kind of watching it happen.